guys, Rex here. We just finished up comparative analysis between a few different LPVO models. We tested the primary Arms GLx 1:6. Very nice optic at a glance, very low profile. And this one has the Griffin reticle, which is one of my favorite reticles by those guys. We tested that. We also tested the Arken 1:8 EP-8 34 millimeter. We tested the primary Arms 1:8 PLx 34 millimeter, the old one, which I have a lot of experience on, and I would say that that would be kind of the measuring piece. They're discontinued now. And we also tested this. Let me loosen this up for the mount. The primary Arms PLx 30 millimeter lightweight, okay? The prices on all these I will put here with you. I reviewed this one a year or two ago. Very, very nice optic, incredible optical quality. The GLX, really nice optical quality. The old PLX, the old Platinum 1:8, excellent. The 34 millimeter. And then the EP-8 is the new one on the block by Arken. And that one is actually surprisingly good. So I will give you the numbers because it's all about facts, not feelings. Math is a blade that cuts through the bullshit. And I will just give you the numbers on the performance. Right off the bat, we can do how clear is the glass, okay? The primary Arms GLx 1:6 by 24 scored just under 3 on the optical acuity test with the Rosenbaum test scores, as compared to the Arken EP-8 1:8, which with a tiny bit more magnification was able to read a 3 in optical acuity. The primary Arms PLx 34 millimeter old version of the Platinum series 1:8 by 24 scored a 3 on the acuity, so is very, very much the same acuity in terms of quantifiable numbers as the Arken, and just a tiny bit better than the GLX. And the primary Arms PLx compact 1:8 30 millimeter, the new version, scored a 3 as well. So not really a lot of difference between the different scores on those 4 models. For methods and materials on exactly how we're doing that, it's just basically doing the reading test. And we just read it and see what score it gets, right? And I look through all different parts of the glass, the center, the top, the bottom, the left and right. You can crank to the extreme ranges on the dials and center the dial so that you're looking through the edge of the glass, through the center of the glass. You average it all out, okay? You can read that on Patreon, where we have much more in-depth technical instruction on such things and pointy objects, okay? So we got that. So basically all 4 of these things basically we're right around a 3, with the GLX being just a little bit below that, with the 2.8 score. Okay, on the T21 direct read resolution target, which is an old, mil standard 150 alpha, we got a little bit more of a spread of the quality, so that this is going to tell you a little more detail than the Rosenbaum. We're just reading cycles per millimeter. There's no numbers to interpret. There's no way to really game this. It's just, can you see the cycles or not? The GLX primary Arms 1:6, the new one here, this critter. Oh wait, no, not that one, this one. This one, okay. This came in at 0.45 cycles per millimeter. So the higher number means the finer resolution, the higher clarity. So the lower number, the least clear, the higher the number, the more clear it is, okay? The Arken EP-8 actually did a little bit better than that at 0.5 cycles per millimeter. So that was above the GLX 1:6. The next one up was the old model PLA, or PLA. No. We have political problems right now over there. The primary Arms Platinum 1:8 34 millimeter, the old model, was right around 0.56 cycles per millimeter. And the new primary Arms compact has actually a little bit more clear of glass at 0.63. So they're all right next to each other, just right next to each other on the scale. These are very tiny differences, but they are discernible. So your Arken was just a little bit below the Platinum series from primary Arms, which costs 3 or 4 times more, I think. So it's just right there nipping at the heels. The GLX did the least good on this test of clarity. Okay, so I'll graph it out so you can kind of see a visual representation of our results. Now we can look at tracking, because they all come with precision tracking turret options. These are my field notes, and I do have a template drawn up to where I can actually record this pretty easily with my field notation. So test one, where are we at here? All right, gosh darn it. I have notes about how to measure it with the lollipop method versus, because you have a chevron on some of them, so I actually subdivided the first marking in half so that there's no screw up on exactly where you're holding for this type of a test. So here we have the primary Arms GLx exhibited 2.75% error if I average out my numbers. I was in between 2.5 and 3% error on the tracking test. I did 7 tracking tests, and we'll average that out at 2.75% error. It was short, 2.75%, which still falls into industry standard, but it's kind of on the, it's not bad. I mean, it would pass, it would work, right, for most applications. But that's your precision there. The primary Arms PLx, the old model, got pretty much right on tracking. The tracking was really good. Like I said before, I mean, it was like 99.8% accurate. I could barely maybe tell. It wasn't a full click off, but it was a tiny bit short by looking at the reticle going back and forth. Very close to right on. The Arken EP-8, I did 7 tests, and we have perfect tracking on that. Arken. There's a reason I keep mentioning those things. They're cheap, but they're like exactly on. It is what it is. That's the numbers that I got, like exactly on, like just right on the center after 7 tests. And then the new PLx 1-8 30 millimeter lightweight, this one right here, okay, was 1.5% error. So actually the Arken did the best on the tracking graduation precision test out of all 4. Even the ones that cost 3 or 4 times as much money were not keeping up with the Arken on the tracking. So we have a little bit sharper image on the primary Arms Platinum series. You're going to pay for that for sure. Quite a bit more money to get a tiny bit more clear performance. The tracking on the Arken is the best. That was the only one that didn't have error. In terms of overall quality, they're all very comparable. I suppose it might boil down to your price range that you have. It also might boil down to which company you like, maybe based on other things. It might boil down to reticle choice, ACSS reticle versus the Killbox reticle. Okay, they're all formidable reticles in terms of ballistic drop compensation. Right, the ACSS is developed by my good friend Dimitri. Does a good job on those. Like, he proves them out. The Killbox and the Arken was designed by my friend Mike, who is a SEAL Team 1 sniper. And it gets the same thing done, basically, right? So the chevron is nice in the ACSS reticles. I like that because it's an exact aiming point. The dot in the EP-8 is very small, which I kind of like for, if you're going to have a dot, it's very, very fine. So you still have a very, very small aiming point. So there's some guys prefer a dot, some guys prefer a chevron. That's kind of up to the user's preference. But in terms of the numbers, again, we see a little bit of a mix-up. You're going to pay a hell of a lot more than the GLX and the EP-8 to get into the Platinum series for a tiny, tiny bit of an edge on clarity, and not really that much more of an edge on precision, because the Arken actually does better, and the PLx, the brand new one, did not even as good as the old model. The old PLx 34 millimeter tubes actually track a little better, according to my testing, and I've tested on the old model dozens of them, and we've had them at classes. We did entire classes in the past where I would see dozens and dozens and dozens of those things, all the same models, and we'd check them all, and Pretty good, darn reliable sample size. It's not like I bought one and checked the one, right? So there we go. For whatever it's worth, those are the numbers. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Rex out.